Greetings, friends around the world. This is Dr. Bob Thiel for the Bible News Prophecy channel. Looking for a gift to get your children or your grandchildren? Well, while I think a Bible would be a really good choice, I'd like to talk about something that I don't think is appropriate, and that's something I've heard about. It's called the Children's Book of Demons. I'd like to read a report about it, which came from Vigilant Citizen. The Children's Book of Demons teaches children how to summon demons. This children's book presents the summoning of demons as a fun way of taking care of everyday problems such as chores, homework, and getting rid of bullies, and it gets worse. Although it might be the worst idea for a children's book in world history, a Children's Book of Demons exists. It's published, widely distributed, and is sold on Amazon, at Walmart, and some of the largest bookstores in the country. So, this is a book. It's selling all over the place. I actually went to Amazon and I read a little bit about it. Now I'd like to read something from the description from the author. Don't want to take out the trash tonight? Maybe you're swimming in homework. Perhaps that big bully is being a real drag. Well, grab your colored pencils and sigil drawing skills and dial up some demons. But be careful, even these spirits are more silly than scary. They are still demons. So he's trying to make it sound like this is a fun thing to do. And essentially what he's got you doing, he's got something called a sigil, which is kind of like a phone number. And you're supposed to call up different demons. For example, there's one that's supposed to be fun called Corydon, and you have to draw in a bright red color while you're trying to get them. And you're supposed to do that while you're giggling. And there's another one called Quasitoro, supposed to be an expert in finding missing objects. And there's different ones for different things. It actually kind of reminds me of ancient pagan gods, as well as various so-called saints that various ones have. Now, getting back to Vigilant Citizen, there's something else it wrote about this. A Children's Book of Demons is basically a manual of witchcraft which invoke demons and the spirit of the dead for children. It contains 72 demons that can be counted or conjured by children for their personal benefit, which is the definition of black magic. Each demon is accompanied by a sigil, a symbol representing a demon imbued with occult power, and a cute drawing that's replete with occult symbolism. So we see this is out there. It's for children, supposedly. It's certainly not a good thing. I think it's terrible. I think it's terribly wrong. I read a few pages from the book that I could find online. Basically, it's promising children a false way to cope. I'd like to go to 2 Peter chapter 2. I'm going to read this from the New King James, starting in verse 18. For when they speak great swelling words of emptiness, they allure through lusts of the flesh, through lewdness, the ones who have actually escaped from those who live in error. While they promise them liberty, they themselves are slaves of corruption, for by whom a person is overcome, by him also he is brought into bondage. Well, the so-called coping liberty that this book is promising is basically more bondage to sin. And the Bible condemns such things. I'd like to go to the Old Testament this time, Deuteronomy chapter 32, and I'm going to start reading verse 16. They provoked him to jealousy with foreign gods. With abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to demons, not to God, to gods they did not know, to new gods, new arrivals that your fathers did not fear. You say, well, that's safe, right? It's okay to do this. It's just kind of a fun thing. Well, let's go also in Deuteronomy, this time Deuteronomy chapter 18. I'm going to start in verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or daughter pass through the fire, or who practices witchcraft, or a soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead. For all who do these things are an abomination to the Lord, because the abominations the Lord your God drives them out from before you. Well, you're not supposed to call out to worship, dial up the demonic realm. Demonic possession is real, and it can happen. You can read about it in the New Testament, for example, in Matthew chapter 8, verse 16. And it can also affect children, as we see in Matthew 17, verse 18. So such things can happen. Yet there exist various spiritists which are involved in conscious efforts to contact higher beings or their angels or aliens. And this type of spiritism is really no more than an open invitation toward demonic possession. And there shouldn't be children's books encouraging such things. Now I'd like to go to 1 Peter chapter 5 in the New Testament and start reading with verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Resist him, steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same sufferings are experienced by your brotherhood in the world. So we're supposed to be vigilant. We're supposed to resist the adversary because the adversary wants us, and he wants our children as well. In James chapter 4, starting verse 7, we hear a little bit more about this type of resistance. Therefore, submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. We're supposed to resist Satan. We're not supposed to call out to him, or you're not supposed to ask his demons to assist, which is what this book does. I think that the children's book of demons is consistent with a prophecy in 1 Timothy chapter 4, starting in verse 1. Now the Spirit expressly says that in latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to deceiving spirits and doctrines of demons, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their own conscience seared with a hot iron. To me, it looks like the author of this book has his own conscience seared, and this book is seemingly intended to do the same thing to children and their parents. We're not supposed to call out the demons. Demons are fallen angels. And while they might want to be worshipped, we're not supposed to do that. Let's go to Colossians chapter 2, starting verse 18. Let no one cheat you of your reward, taking delight in false humility and worship of angels, intruding into those things which he has not seen, vainly puffed up in his fleshly mind, and not holding fast to the head, from whom all the body, nourished and knit together by joints and ligaments, grows with the increase that's from God. We need to be faithful, and we need to worship God, as it says, for example, in Revelation 22, verse 9. Now, as far as angels go, let's go to Revelation chapter 19, verse 10, because sometimes people see them and they should be worshipped. But notice what happened when someone went to bow down to a faithful angel as opposed to a demonic angel, a fallen angel. And I fell at his feet to worship him. But he said to me, see that you do not do that. I am your fellow servant and of your brethren who have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is a spirit of prophecy. Well, we're not supposed to worship angels. We should not be going around calling up angels as well. Demonism, or following doctrines of demons, is an alternative to proper living. And yes, it's possible that demons can appear to be helpful in their deceit, but they're deceitful. They're not ones you should ask help for. Now, getting back to the children's book of demons, it basically says, as I said before, you contact different demons for different reasons. But I'd like to talk about one in particular. You should summon somebody called Corydon if you want to have fun. So I'd like to go back to something from Vigilant Citizen, what it says about this. Corydon is not random. It's the name of a pedophile character in Virgil's Eclogues, a shepherd who's been in love with a young boy named Alexis. The names associated with boy love was cemented by the French author André Gide, who titled his book Defending Homosexuality and Pedastry, the sexual relationship between an adult man and a pubescent or adolescent boy, Corydon. So this person said this is not some coincidence that this person is telling people, call on this particular demon to have fun because he is encouraging pedophilia. You say, well, that was just from Vigilant Citizen. Well, he also went to Wikipedia. And let me read a little bit of what it talks about this Corydon character. Corydon is a stock name for a shepherd in ancient Greek pastoral poems and fables. The name was also used by the Latin poets Sigils and, more significantly, Virgil. In the second of Virgil's Eclogues, it is used for a shepherd whose love for the boy Alexis is described therein. So yes, it's a pedophilia thing, and this particular book seems to be encouraging homosexuality and pedophilia. It's terrible that there are books like a children's book, Demons Around, that encourage sin and contacting demons. Now, what are parents supposed to do? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 6 and start reading in verse 6. And these words which I command you today shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign in your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and your gates. This is talking about teaching your children what the Bible teaches, specifically the Ten Commandments and other of God's laws, which will help protect them from improper and demonic influences. I'm going to go to Proverbs 27 and Proverbs 22. I'm going to read verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. You need to warn your children to stay away from demons and demonic games. Don't act like it's cute for people to communicate with them or for them to try to do that. I'd like to read something from Jesus. This is the book of John, chapter 8, starting verse 31. If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Abide in the word of God, you know the truth, and the truth is we're not supposed to contact demons. We should not be getting books for our children regarding this. We denounce demonism. We don't encourage it. The truth is, no child nor adult should try to contact demons. So no, I'm not going to be buying a children's book of demons for any of my descendants. And no real Christian that is, would. This is Dr. Bob Thiel for the Bible News Prophecy Channel.